Okay. I know it's when I use my computer because then it's my face in front of it all the time. Okay, so let's call the meeting to order at 7:02. And can I get a motion to adopt the agenda?
I make a motion.
Okay, and second,
I'll second it.
okay, any discussion on the agenda? I didn't specifically have on voting you in. We sometimes do that in recruitment. I know we've done it.
Yeah, we were gonna do it.
Yeah, so, but any other, changes needed to the agenda? Okay, all in favor? All right, and then we'll move on to the September minutes. Motion to accept the minutes.
I don't think I can make a motion to this.
Since
but
you
I
wrote them?
can see that.
Okay, Deborah, a second.
I'll second it.
All right, thanks. Any discussion, corrections, changes? Okay. Compliments. All right, all in favor? Okay, great. Moving right along. So planning calendar. There's one addition that I want to re-highlight to folks. I just sent out an email, and Karen, I'll forward it to you after tonight. UHLS is putting on a Zoom session about sustainable funding for libraries. This is really good timing for us and important for us. It talks about the 414 process, which is how we get our funding from taxpayers, where we have to go put a budget forth to them. They vote on it. And then anytime we want any change, we have to go through the whole process again. So it's kind of a big deal. We need to start planning for our next one. We haven't done it in quite a while. So that's going to be coming up, and they'll be talking about other funding things as well.
I mean, November 18th or something.
14th, yeah, 14th, yeah. So I'm hoping people can attend that. Otherwise, we have a bunch of events coming up, which we'll talk about some of those later. But we'll need volunteers to help on some of those. So we'll talk about those as we get to them. We also have this month, we'll be talking about the strategic plan, that approving the small tweaks that have been made. We'll talk about budget. And then for November, we'll be doing, oh, that's what I didn't have a chance to print out. Sorry, I got called out in the middle of prepping for the meeting. I need to get people to do input for Kim's review soon. I'm scheduled to do her review at the beginning of November. And then after we do that, we bring that, we'll need to approve that in November, the final review, and that feeds into the budget process, obviously, as well, in terms of salary discussion.
You haven't sent around the.
No, I didn't send it around yet. I was going to just print out stuff today.
Oh,
Since it always seems complicated, but I didn't do that. Okay, and then for interest for Karen, Upper Hudson does a trustee training. They're good sessions. They're well worthwhile. The next one's coming up December 5th. So I'll forward information on that when we get it. But that might be something good for you.
It's excellent. I just sat through it.
Oh, good. Yeah.
It was really, it was engaging for 2 hours.
it really is. Yeah.
Really well done.
I still need to take text. So when you send me
Oh, sure. Yeah, I can send it to the group. Yeah. Just make a note to do that. Actually, let me do it in my notebook.
It's a Tuesday.
Okay.
It's by Zoom.
Karen is I'm gonna say overachiever to be nice about it. I'm not sure if that's what I've settled on though, what she is, but she is taking the EMT class as well, so.
She's a gamer.
But it's so cold now, right?
Yeah, starts the end of November now, yeah. Okay, thank you. Anyone have any other comments on upcoming things to consider? All righty. we'll move on. So Kim is very sorry she can't be here tonight. Braylon is getting inducted into the National Honor Society. So they're very proud of that. She was gonna see if maybe she could come home and get here for the tail end of it. And I encouraged her to not rush through the thing and enjoy the ceremony, enjoy something good happening. So she went over her director's report with me, and I have some notes from her as well. So let me pull them over, and then I'll just go through the highlights. So, a lot of upcoming programs, as you can see. She's got a lot of stuff happening in November. For this group, if anybody is struggling still with any of the Google stuff, there is going to be a Google session, Google Mail, Google Drive, all of that stuff. It's a teacher at the Berlin School that's going to be doing that session next Monday. I'm going to try to attend, and maybe we can make some improvements. And then we've got the Halloween party coming up with the trunk or treat. We have holiday decor swap. I'll probably ping Deborah to talk a little bit about ideas on that. Holiday market and the holiday parade. So we're going to be holidayed out pretty soon. In terms of the programs that were held in the last 2 months, you can see the numbers there, some pretty good numbers. We were happy to see, for those of you who were here last month, the good turnout for the sculpture unveiling right before our last meeting. Birds of Prey was a little bit lower attendance than previous programs.
It's sort of a bad weather day.
Yeah, it was, yeah. I mean, they did do it inside, but people might not have realized that that was the option. And story time numbers are amazing. They're 15 kids, 12 kids. We were here with the fire department yesterday. I think she thought there might have been 20 kids. It was a lot of kids.
Wow.
It was a lot.
Yeah. So that's really going very well. And it was nice to see how Rebecca and Cheryl do the program, and they have little like warm up activities and dance things and such. So very nicely done.
And Jen's reading this very nice too.
Oh, thank you. I also heard a really nice comment from a woman who attended the baby cafe. I know there hasn't been huge numbers, but she was talking about how great it was, and she was able to spend 3 hours. I guess they have people here who still watch the other children. So she's got 2 little young boys. So they're being entertained in the main part of the library. The nursing moms are private in here, have a chance to talk. She's like, I could talk to an adult. I didn't have, it was just really, really appreciated that experience.
Are there
So,
more people coming in? Is it getting a little bigger?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if this one was more or not. It didn't sound like it was very big so far, but
Something like that. Is there a reach beyond Stephentown? Because I imagine for new moms, it would be.
it's true.
Something like that. I would have.
Travel, yeah.
Yeah.
I think I have to check. I think they posted it.
Cars in those days, just saying.
I think they posted it on the community, like the Berlin community one, that, but I'm not sure, but we can ask about that. What's the other thing I heard? So, the other thing is, speaking of people traveling, let me write this thought down before I forget. Surrounding towns too. Kim was telling me when we were meeting to go over her information that the Dungeons and Dragons group, that they have a family traveling from Vermont to come, because they're a family that moved from here, this area from Texas, had a really big homeschooling and D&D community in Texas that they are used to being a part of. Hadn't been able to find anything here, somehow connected with somebody whose kid comes to the program, and now they're coming from Vermont to do it. And I guess it went really well. The kids enjoyed it and all of that, but they also then made a connection to the homeschooling community around here. But so
Wow.
connection, community, whatever the third C is. Okay. Let me just go over her notes. So as you probably saw as you came in, the steps have been repaired. Kirk Mitchell did that work and coordinated it with code enforcement. That was all set. The community room door. Kim has a quote, or had Kirk look at that. There's a quote coming. He doesn't think that the frame will need to be replaced, that it will be just the door itself. There's a big hole in it. He thinks it's probably gonna be like around $500 type cost. Other maintenance issues. So the solar system, solar panel system that we talked about last time, where it was not on. She was able to find Albany Solar Solutions that came and found that there was an arc that caused the problem, caused it to shut down. It was inexpensive. It was $183. He examined it all for frayed wires, any signs of animals nesting, things like that. Found none of those things at this point. So he said, he reset it, see if it happens again. If it happens again, it may be more costly because they may have to do a more detailed troubleshooting to figure out where the arc is happening and what's causing it. Kim said she has checked the NYSEG bill and it reflects that they're working and in use. She wanted to let us know that there is a box in the attic at the top of the stairs, and that is where you can tell if what's going on with it. You tap the screen, it turns on, and it would let you know if there's a problem. The one odd thing that they discovered in the course of this fix is that there is no key to the emergency shutoff box. So we may need to get a locksmith to do that. I guess the repairman kind of picked the lock kind of thing in order to deal with it this time. But it may become an issue. Kim looked through every key in the building, has no knowledge of it. I do need to ask Tom Quimby in case for some reason he had the key, former board member who was part of the solar panel installation. So anyway, though, and there's also now an app. There's an app that you could use to monitor the solar panels. Kim looked into it. She thought it looked a little suspicious, like one of those, not quite the right English, when you're like, oh, I'm not sure about this. And it didn't really seem like there was any reason to do that when we can monitor from right here. Similarly, there is the new thermostat has been installed. The thermostat that was broken, that was $125 for the installation. Mike Clean did that. And there is an app for that is fine, and Kim has downloaded it. She's going to have me download it, so we have two people who can be monitoring, and she can actually control it from home by app, so she can make us hot or cold, or I don't know what she might play with us tonight, but so she's been very busy on building maintenance issues. And the Little Free Library has been completed. So Mike McMahon, Kim's husband, did the work on that. His initial work, it was still a little didn't feel secure enough. And even though he had dug in the ground and put cement and all that kind of stuff. So he came back, did some different supporting. It now is sturdy enough. You'll see there are books in there right now. So that has been done. So we're very appreciative of him doing that work. So a lot of progress this past month. You might see in the old part of the library, if you look at it tonight, there's a big display. There was a patron who needed to do a 4-H project where you have to just have a public display of your work. And so that's been in the library for a couple of weeks. He was apparently very, very, very proud of it. And so that was nice that we could do that as well. The other update she had on here, she told me about, is that she did not finally, like I'm saying, she finally did it, but it took a while for them to send the information. Clink, which is that the bags for collecting bottles, that account has gotten set up. She's going to be picking up the first bags and figuring out how to set that up here. We can start publicizing it and see if we, it's probably not going to be big dollars, but any little bit helps, right? Absolutely. So I think that was, oh yeah, so for the lighted parade that's coming up, Vicky's coordinating that. There's going to be some sort of book theme. Ideas are welcome, as are people who are willing to volunteer to help with the decorating of that, and if they want to ride on it or walking as well. Vicky's husband will we can use his truck again. And trailer. This is the lighted parade on November 25th, the Saturday after Thanksgiving.
I would help with it.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So it was really cute last year. they're gonna continue the theme of the like fireplace with, chairs around and whatever, like reading to kids kind of thing. So that was good. I think that was everything. Let me just.
Would be the same thing this year?
I think the idea of like reading to kids, but they might try to come up with a book type theme or something to
Yeah.
add to it.
Yeah.
So. Oh, sorry, I should have looked at this ahead. There is one additional thing for the agenda, if we can. Kim brought up that we're one of the few libraries open for Indigenous Peoples' Day, formerly Columbus Day. So, we should just talk about if we want to include that in our holiday list. She has also created a holiday list page on the website, so people can easily find that rather than like clicking through a calendar, to see. Oh yeah, and one other thing, sorry. So she mentioned that, because on Wednesdays, they're open until, we're not open, but we are here until 7 for, Dungeons and Dragons Club. And it's either Kim or somebody else, I think often it's Cheryl, if it's not Kim, is here for that, because it's a library program that we have to be here for. She was wondering if you wanted to consider staying open on that night, until 7. That way we have one night with extended hours for families or kids who might want to do something after school. It would still be few. Yeah, since she's here anyway, yeah. And if it's Kim, it wouldn't even be additional staff pay time. But even if it was, it's minimal, it's another hour. And it would still be fewer hours than we were open pre-COVID. We were open pre-COVID before we made the cut to Friday nights. We used to be open Friday nights until 7, I think. So she wanted us to get feedback on that and see if we wanted to make that switch. We can at least see how it goes. If ends up not being very much interest, and there's kind of no harm in it because somebody's
Yeah,
already here.
yeah.
Yeah.
Kim and I talked about too, if we start the jam sessions in January, to have it on the same night as Dungeons and Dragons.
Okay.
Because we could do the jam session in here, right, and they do Dungeons and Dragons out there.
And some of those
Okay.
kids might play instruments and be interested.
So
Yeah.
for parents,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Okay. Good.
So that might work out,
Okay. Yeah.
so we can play by ear.
That sounds good. Does anybody have any concerns with making it open to the public? Okay. Do we need to vote on it?
So normally we close at 6, just to be sure that I know what we're talking,
Correct.
keeping it open from 6 to 7.
Yes.
You know, it makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So. that
No,
is-
we don't need to vote on
I think it's more operational shit, policy issue.
it.
Okay.
I don't think it makes a difference in it. Since it's right, if you want to vote on it, you can. It's an hour. I mean,
Right.
It's just seems like a good idea.
I'll just say all agreed, that makes sense.
Yeah, there we go. Okay. And I'm sorry I'm doing all the talking, but everybody,
Go ahead.
am I
Yeah,
too fast?
no.
Okay.
Yes. That's surprising, I think.
Okay, Richard's not here tonight, so treasurer's report, I'm not gonna say too much about it actually, but you can see the report he provided. Things will be going along as normal. I didn't print everything out because I don't print everything for everybody.
I don't have a printer.
We have a printer that is now working. If you want to take a look at things.
I think I would put it on.
Yeah. Oh, and I did talk to Kim about the printer situation. She needs to gather a little bit more info, but we could, so they brought us back our old printer, which is that we're now using. The only downside, because we can get ink for it, and so the downside is that people can't print wirelessly, which I guess people really started to adopt pretty quickly and because you can print right from your phone and not have to do the rigmarole. It sounds like her initial discussion with the group, with the company, there's not a lot of, there aren't many options for printers. So it's either like small one, or you have to go to something huge, which might be beyond what we need, let alone want to afford. So she's going to do a little bit more research and see, but nobody likes the new printer, even before we couldn't get ink for it. Just they were having, it was having a lot of problems with just basic functions, so.
But the
we'll
one we have
see.
now is not the new one, it's the old. one.
Yeah, well, both are out there, but we're using the old one as theirs, yeah, as
Okay.
theirs ink, so. We're
And they're
using,
leased, they're leased printers?
yes, yeah, at least, yeah. And the other one, worked pretty well. We'd have an occasional issue or occasional thing where, whatever that.
So why aren't we using that one?
It was getting old,
Oh.
so we had traded in for a new version with the wireless printing and all of that. Found that nobody was really liking it very much. And we had them out for service quite a few times. And then the great printer ink shortage happened and we couldn't get ink for it for weeks and weeks. And we finally had them bring back the old one.
Okay.
So. So any questions on treasurer's report or concerns? We're gonna talk about budget later.
I actually I have a question about, under income, the annual appeal letter. There's an actual, right, but it hasn't gone out yet.
Correct. Some of last year's
Uh,
came in after the end of the year. And it still gets tracked in that number. There's been a lot of discussion about how we track this.
mhm.
So we can have continued discussion about that. And there's more.
Many times, I'm happy to do it again, yeah.
And we do have separate tracking as well, but yes, yeah. So that's why you will sometimes see that there's annual
Just people
appeal.
on our calendar.
When does
here,
it go
right,
out?
Yeah,
the check
goes out in like
gets
November.
January.
Yeah.
Then it goes into the next fiscal year.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So there's a more detailed breakdown too,
Right,
so,
I'll talk to you about it later,
okay,
yeah.
okay,
Want this back?
thanks. So old business, we had the bylaw changes that we were talking about last month. We
We
Fair.
basically, there were two recommended changes that Tim had suggested to Kim, which we thought we should not change. And one of them was the number of people that should make up the trustees, because our charter has a range, and we thought it was safer to have a range than to say 9, when in fact we often don't have 9. So we are keeping that. And the other thing that was under, that was being questioned was whether trustees needed to reside within Stephentown. Some of our trustees don't currently. And Scott was good enough to recognize that this is an association library, to push back a little bit with Tim and double check. Maybe push back isn't the right term, discussion to discuss the issue.
He was wrong. He goes to his lawyer.
Yeah, and it turned out we don't need to do that, so all we did was retain our original language at Article 4, trustees 1, around the size of the number of trustees, and remove the language requiring trustees to reside in Stephentown at Article 4, trustees 2. And otherwise we picked up all of his recommendations, and it's in the folder, and I think we need to
vote on
vote
that,
on
yeah. Mhm. Did people have any questions, or I guess, can we get a motion to approve the bylaw changes as made?
I would like to make a motion to approve the bylaw changes.
All right, thank you, Scott. A second?
I second it.
Okay. Any questions or discussion? Okay, all in favor? All right, okay, motion carries. I think Kim may have already put these up on the website, so. She was being very efficient in her, yeah, in her website up.
It's gonna be seamless.
Okay, active committee reports. No real updates on the major projects. As we talked about last time, we have the good news of looking like we're going to get that upper the library grant for the building grant. No updates from her on discussions with Paul or things like that, so we will need to start talking about that, and there's some talk about related to that in the budget discussion coming up. Fundraising, it's mostly in the report. Holiday via pop-up store is live. Thank you, Sarah, for coordinating that. We do have the children's t-shirts this time and sweatshirts. And orders are going to be accepted through the 29th. So there's already been several social media posts. I think it was in Kim's newsletter. She'll put that out again. We've got a display out here. So we'll see how that does. Very low risk to do it, so. Annual appeal. Deborah has drafted an awesome letter, a very different, why don't you talk about it, Deborah? I won't talk for you. Different approach for us.
I have found over many decades that the letters are usually most effective come from either somebody who is served by an organization or who works at the organization. So I interviewed Elaine Smith, and she was fantastic. She's an assistant librarian. It's really sort of her perspective on the library, that the library really serves as a community hub. And she sees that every day that she's here working, and telling a few stories in there. One focused on older adults and how she helped a gentleman who had painstakingly over many years put together a playlist on Spotify, and it was corrupted, and together they figured out how to bring it back. And then a story about a mom bringing her kids to the library for the first time, and all the kids want to do is play video games. So she steps in, and the kids end up leaving with books about video games and dinosaurs, and it's a really sweet story. But it really, the focus is, what does the library mean, especially for a small town, and really encourages people to keep coming to the library, to understand all that's going on at the library, to figure out, if you haven't been to the library, come to the library and figure out how the library can work for you. It's a place beyond books, beyond DVDs, etc. So I think it's a really, you can share it with people.
Okay.
I can't have, like communal editing.
Right,
on
yeah,
it. But I think it's a pretty powerful letter from somebody, who really understands what goes on here day to day. So.
And is it solely Elaine's perspective, or is there a piece of it that is the president, or
No.
just Elaine? Okay.
Yeah, really common.
Mhm.
And I have found those to be the most successful letters, far more successful usually than letters from a board president.
Yeah.
It's real.
Yeah.
Right, that person is actually working in this building and sees things that you won't see, right? So anyway, I think it will do well.
Yeah,
I think
it
that-
seems very effective and it's very readable, even though it's longer than our normal letter. It's not like, oh, you slog through something. It's like, oh, it's very engaging.
It's actually very standard length for appeal letters. People, it's the way that it's laid out into short paragraphs with underlines. We know, and I'm a nerdy fundraiser, right, from science, how people read these letters and absorb the information. And this is really a best practices by the book setup. We want to do an inclusion of upcoming calendar, upcoming events, and services that the library provides. When I first got that list, I hadn't even got that list when I joined the board, but the one I got at the new residence, which everything from, blood pressure monitor to fancy cake pans. So including those things too, so people can get an idea of what those services are. And then I think that, the question is, this letter is written for everybody. It's written for people who already use the library, so that they know a little bit more about the library and the framing of it as a community hub. but it's also written for people who've never been here or who haven't been here for a long time.
Mhm.
And it seems to me that we would want to send this letter out.
Wider than our
Right,
donor.
wider than your donor
donor
list,
yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Because this is actually, I think, a letter that could bring people in
And beyond current cardholders as well.
Oh,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, so.
Do you want a mailing list?
No, so that's the issue is, or a question. So I need to talk to Jennifer Van Duzen about ability to get a list of all the taxpayers, the property owners, and use that. What we have is a donor database, plus we incorporate member, so card holders. So the card holder information we have to update every year. It's a little bit of a pain kind of thing. And we often find a lot of, when we do mail to them, a lot of people have moved or dropped off or
Yeah.
whatever. So, so there's a little bit of data maintenance on that, but I think we just need to figure out the best way to reach everybody in town. When we have done, just to provide everybody the history too, we've done, the only mailings we've done before that, in my time or aware of, where we've gotten to the wider audience have been the post office, what's that called? Every Door Direct, where you can, you coordinate the mailing that way. It goes to every post office address. The challenge for us here is that we have 2 areas of town that are other post office. So it's Averill Park and East Nassau. And there's a small number of people in those, so we can't just select to mail to everybody. Because then we're mailing to more people than we need to, and don't necessarily want to reach either. So we just have to, that's why that's not really a great option for things, or it requires some tweaking, but I don't know if you've had any other experience with when you've been trying to get lists for anything.
No, I'm trying to think how we've gotten lists before. I'm not usually involved in that, but.
Okay,
I'll find
yeah. So we will get the card holder list at the beginning of November. I should have talked to Jennifer Van Duzen the other night at the town board meeting and it slipped my mind. But I will talk to her. I know.
And I think on the outside of the envelope, you wanna do, if it's possible to print something on the outside of the envelope as well, to get people to open it, that helps a lot too,
Okay.
rather than. But, so, something that. If it just, says it's from the Stephentown Library,
Right.
that's not, and has the person's address, that will not necessarily get them to open it,
Mhm.
so we can talk about that.
Okay. Yeah. Sounds good. And I believe as I sent out, everybody saw, we were able to meet our matching donation challenge. Hooray, that was a great thing. So that's very exciting. Got a big push at the end, which was really great to see.
We have any idea like where the donations came from?
I think it was a combination. It seemed like the last push was perhaps social media.
Okay,
There seemed like some came in right after the last sort of social media
Okay.
push. We definitely had some in person. People saw it in person.
It seems like it picked up after the thermometer.
Yeah, yeah, and then I think we definitely saw some from the newsletter too. The initial, like sort of, I think the initial ones
Right.
that came in were like from the newsletter.
cool.
We don't have great tracking otherwise, but
But you think that the thermometer made a difference, so we could probably use that with other things too, even our annual appeal, just.
Yeah,
do
just to
something
make
like
it-
that. This is our goal.
right,
And this is where we are.
yep, yep.
Yeah.
Do we have a goal that we would want to
Publicize,
publicize?
something to think about. I'm not sure. Yeah. I'm not sure.
It's also different when you have a match, right?
It's true.
Oh,
Yeah, 'cause it's like a- yeah.
It's
It's like you really gotta get, yeah.
And everybody needs to know what it is.
Yeah.
Right, but it also,
Psychologically. it's different.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Mhm. it might be we might
That's why I
want
recommended that thermometer, because I knew from experience that with matches, people want to see,
where
you
the,
know,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
That you're going there.
yeah,
I'm not sure, I'd have to think about it for, especially if you're doing outreach to a whole big group of new
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
I think that maybe it's not appropriate actually on second thought.
mhm,
Yeah, with the matching, it's a lot more sense.
Yeah.
mhm.
And you can be positive thinking and think that, you know, that we have a goal and we're getting close to exceeding that, we don't need to put that out.
Nice positive thinking.
Especially if you're reaching out. If your goal, and my goal with this letter
Mhm.
is to bring in people who don't normally come to the library.
Yeah,
So I think staying away from.
Yeah,
There you go.
yeah,
I'm at a loss for
yeah.
words, there you go.
no, I think it makes sense.
Okay.
Joshua.
But we will use that thermometer again, no doubt.
No doubt.
No doubt.
The holiday market, it's not necessarily, you know, primary purpose fundraiser, but it does bring in a little fundraising. And we do have this year, 13 vendors. We have more vendors this year. We did turn one away already due to space. So 3 new people. Scott, I'm assuming you are going to do it. Okay. The other thing we're thinking about doing this year is trying to add a little bit more baked goods. Like, so we do have one person who's going to do the cocoa bombs, and she's going to do cupcakes this year as well, allergy friendly cupcakes. If you have an allergy, these are they're not allergen friendly, they're allergy friendly. So I don't know if we want to try to coordinate a little bit of a bake sale element to it too, or just something, maybe like one other person who might be interested in doing something that was a food type thing.
I think they could do really well.
Yeah, we did.
Mhm. So I don't know what people think about that. We don't have a ton of space, but you know, in that main room.
It's pain. A lot of people, yeah.
We do have a lot of people, volunteers, who said they like to bake and, right?
Mhm,
And would be
yeah.
interested. Have they come through in the past, Scott? I think you were more. the
Less
liaison.
so recently, there was more enthusiasm started,
Mhm.
but I mean, there'll be 4 or 5 people, certainly lowest number, you might get more. It's a busy time.
Yeah.
That's it. It's with it being the weekend of Thanksgiving. It's like,
And they're already cooking for
Yeah.
their families, yeah.
but maybe they're, you know, maybe if, again, I don't think we need a ton but
Mhm.
it might just be something to add to it, make it appealing for maybe somebody who's looking for that kind of thing, and
Mhm.
or even a longer term treat, you know, like something you might buy, not just to eat the cupcake this weekend, but you know, like
That's hard, only because you're just bumped into Thanksgiving.
Right, yeah.
Christmas is several weeks away.
yeah,
So you're not buying it for any particular holiday at that point, and everyone's sort of.
yeah, unless you're getting like a little tin of
Right,
whatchamacallit
that
you
last
make.
whole Christmas.
Yeah, unless you're selling a candy kind of item.
Right,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, something to think about.
Do you ever do, a raffle?
Yes,
Yeah.
We-
At this?
not at the holiday market, we haven't done a raffle. We've had successful raffles a bunch of different ways, but I think the Easter one was one of the most successful,
Mhm.
smaller
Yeah.
ones, but yeah. Did you have something in mind?
Oh, I don't know, maybe a raffle for, I don't know, a cake or,
Mhm.
pies or, something like that. This is after Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it's the weekend after.
Day after, right?
Yeah,
They're here.
yeah, we had good traffic last year.
Cool. That's
Shopping
great.
local is Friday,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly. It's like take advantage of the shopping day kind of thing.
What time is it?
10 to 2, I think.
That's right.
Yeah. A gifty kind of raffle might be,
Yeah.
Something.
yeah, if we can think of something that's a good, something.
Good draw.
I'm always thinking. Okay.
Maybe like local items, maybe?
Yeah, I just, so I feel like we
Yeah.
just solicit the same people all the time, you know?
And they're getting less happy to see
Yeah.
it.
I know in some ways I'm not sending you, but. Anybody have something they need to regift from last year? Something lovely, but not to your taste that would be appealing? Maybe that's the swap we need to pursue next year.
Do you do like anything for like services, like, somebody who'll donate?
Oh, like
or
a
something,
uh-huh.
or
Huh.
there's dog grooming.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, we
things
haven't
like
gone that route
People are
before.
working- And that way, so if I win the dog grooming and I really like the dog groomer, I'll bring
Right.
my dog back to that dog groomer, so it actually could be good for the people who are donating their services.
Yeah, we have not
Okay.
pursued that before. Huh. Okay, that's a good idea to put in the pot. Okay, moving along. Anything else on questions or things on fundraising?
Did you want to talk about the swap?
Yes, that's in,
Oh, sorry.
sorry, it's in the is that in the next one?
Have we started thinking about how to start raising money in connection with the grant?
So it's a little bit part of our budget discussion. If you want to just hold on for a minute on that, we'll finish this.
I would die to
You weren't dying to.
do it now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
we
think some
definitely need to
additional,
do it.
yeah, we need to do it. Let's just finish our reports. So Brandon Marketing has the swap idea, right?
Yeah, we already covered the Bex thing, and we talked about that there are a number of new programs that we scheduled and launched. You said January for the jam sessions. So it's January. The farming, gardening tips and practice sharing, Kim said she's already reached out and found somebody who's interested in. Getting that going with her, I don't know the details on who that is or when, but that's in the queue. And then the estate planning, health proxy, elder care planning kind of workshops. Kim found somebody who can do one focus. Like once a month or once every 2 months, I'm not sure what the timing is, so that's coming up as well. And she's already reached out to that person. We need to promote our first seasonal swap. The holiday decor is slated for November 18th, so that's pretty soon.
Mm-hmm. And Deborah has some thoughts on that.
It
No.
was like a fever dream. It's like, I don't know why I was thinking about it. And I'm sorry, I didn't send it to Sarah, the email that I sent to you, and I probably.
Oh, I'm
should've
sorry. I don't
sent
even
it.
think, I didn't even look at who was on there. I apologize. I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's weird because I'm like I'm not a holiday person, and yet for some reason I was thinking about this. And how to frame this, because swaps can be complicated in terms of how people read who the swap is for. We want people to feel that this is a swap for everybody to participate in. And so I just like wrote up some copy, and then it was very late. I did some research about how successful swaps are held, and where so I'll just read this. You bring your holiday decor items to the library. You obviously have to sign up to do this. You'll be given a space to spread things out. For each item you bring, you'll get a ticket. So if you bring 10 items, you'll get 10 tickets, right? Importantly, we ask that you bring no more than 15 items. I'm pulling these numbers out. With your tickets, you can choose the same number of items from throughout the swap, right? So 10 tickets will get you 10 new items from any, across the fellow swappers. Try to put together bags of similar smaller items, e.g. a bag of tree ornaments or a bag of candles, so that you're not, swapping one
Mm.
little
Mhm.
red ornament. And, encouraging people, I think I added, so, your items should be in good shape, like new, please
Right,
do
yeah.
not bring items that are stained or broken.
So we really have to reach out to people who are interested and give them some instructions ahead of time, obviously.
I think, yeah, I think actually you could use this as a promotion thing, if you like it. Join us for the first Stephentown Memorial Library Holiday Decor Swap, economical, eco-friendly, and a great excuse to clean out your closets,
Mhm, mhm,
so
mhm.
I'll just forward this to you.
Right, okay, sounds good.
And yes, I don't know anything about
And-
swaps.
So, I don't either.
That's 2:00 in the morning.
Anything that you don't successfully swap, you take home with you, right? Yeah.
Actually, that's not what I put in here, but you can feel free to change that.
Well, we wanna make sure that things aren't left.
Yeah, that's our concern is having,
Well, it's
stuff.
funny, because when I looked up other places that, did swaps, most of them said that, take home whatever you want to take home from your stuff, right? Anything left behind will be donated. I have a truck, I'll take it to Goodwill, I think that makes people feel good too.
okay.
That
Getting rid of their stuff.
getting rid of their stuff and knowing
Yeah,
that if nobody
yeah,
takes
yeah.
it, somebody somewhere will get it at
Yeah.
Goodwill
Yeah.
or wherever, so.
As long as you will sign in blood that you will
Take it
take
away.
the stuff away, then.
Sharks are asking.
So the way you wrote that up though, so you do have to bring something to swap something, to get something. Like versus some of them are positioned, some things get positioned like, you don't have to. Bring something to receipt, yeah.
I like that idea. I didn't see anything like that, because I think those are not called swaps.
Yeah, I'm trying to think where I've seen people say that, and it might be more like a book thing, or like a something
right.
where- yeah. Mhm. I don't know. I don't, and we can just try it one way too and see. I just don't know if it's.
So that the first half is a swap, so those who bring something have first.
Oh,
dibs.
yeah.
And, and then the second half of it is.
That's
left
Kevin.
over-
Yeah.
left over,
Yeah.
left over, and,
Yeah.
out of the goodness of your heart, you might make a donation to the library.
Mhm.
For it, or something like that.
Yeah. I think that might be
That's a
good.
idea.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah,
good idea.
yeah.
Thumbs up to that. Okay, never
Nice.
mind what I just.
Well, but that's part of it, I mean.
Yeah, I think some of this language is good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Great idea, yeah.
that's what I was trying to figure out.
Cause I know if I loaded up my car with stuff that I didn't want anymore, and I had to put some of it back in my car,
Mhm.
I
Right.
might feel some sort of a way.
Yeah.
And then.
Wait,
And then what doesn't get taken can get donated
Mhm.
elsewhere. Yeah.
so you do the swap setup like the
Mhm.
traditional swap,
Mhm.
and
For the
then
first hour,
for the first hour. And then,
non-swappers
leftovers.
who are
Right.
interested in just seeing what's there, and if
If
they're
you don't have
interested.
things, then you're just interested in getting things.
Right, yeah.
I don't know.
But how do you decide who gets what if multiple people want the same thing?
First come, first serve. Punch it out, yeah.
I discussed this with her briefly, and I think that she would have some good ideas around this, is Kim
Okay, yeah,
McMahon.
yeah,
Also sort of being sensitive to people not feeling.
right, to make sure it's not yeah.
And didn't say anything, so probably I was not clear with that. Yeah, that you're not. I don't
It's
know.
not like, well, now,
The scrubs.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
right, yeah,
Right.
yeah. No, but I think because of
Making
the,
people feel less than,
Yeah.
that they don't have, the quality
The
of
sloppy
merchandise,
seconds.
right?
Mhm.
Sloppy second,
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
exactly,
yeah.
and I think it's important that we, that's really, yeah.
Yeah, how you word it
Yeah.
is important.
Yeah.
right?
but
And
I
also
like
how
the.
you can access, like if there's not money being exchanged, what keeps one person from getting getting this versus this person getting this.
I mean, if it was up to me, I would just have people bring stuff and walk around and say, you know, go look at my stuff. Can
Uh-huh.
I have this, you
Right,
know?
yeah,
And I don't know if that's doable or does that become a free for all?
right,
You know?
yeah,
I think it's really hard to know, so.
yeah,
I
we
think
might
it's
need
better
to
have
try
s-
one and, yeah, try something and then tweak
Probably
the
better to
next
have a
time.
structure so that
Mhm.
that.
Yeah,
is-
what I
Yeah.
said might be too much of a structure though, that's what I'm. You know, it feels very like too
Too much,
structured, you
yeah.
know?
Well, if it, yeah,
I mean, and
Let's-
believe me, there are even more structured ones. This was
yeah,
you know, in terms of structure, this one wasn't as structured as other ones.
Oh, I say let's have you talk to Kim about it, because she might even have done one before, because she's the one who brought it up with the idea of, I think that they did something at Troy or something.
Mhm.
So maybe she'll have some feedback on that part and then could tweak it from there and finalize it and just give it a try, you know?
Do you want me to reach out to her?
Yes, please. Why?
Cause this is coming up soon.
Yeah,
And like these next couple of weeks are hard for me, but I will, I'll see what I can do. I
Okay.
do have an email out to her, so
Okay.
I'll see if she responds.
okay, awesome.
Also, we do have the marketing committee meeting coming up early November and we can just
Oh,
finalize. and
finalize
get things
it,
out.
yeah.
It doesn't give us much time to
Yeah.
Yeah,
get
get
the word out,
to-
but
yeah,
They have to, you know, they gotta get their stuff together.
yeah, it would be better if we did it sooner than later.
and the Halloween party might be a good place to hand out flyers about it,
Oh, yeah, totally.
because people who are,
Into one holiday.
might be into another, yeah, yeah,
Okay, and that's like the week from Saturday.
yeah. Yeah. It could even be a, you know, check back
Save
in
the
from,
date.
yeah, save the date, check back in for more info, you know?
Yeah.
Okay,
We're clarifying.
What?
That you were
There-
clarifying.
I
Just
just
kind of, I can see just
this time of-
wait, no, I get.
Yeah.
Like you're.
freaking me out this
Yeah.
time of year. Yeah.
And I just have a couple other things, we need to get, your picture still for the website. And also Karen, assuming that you're not gonna walk out and say, you changed your mind, your bio and your picture.
Elections, we sound more and more fixed. than ever.
I wanna be here a year from today and still have that come up about the restrictions.
Oh. Yeah, Kim has done a good job of updating the website with others. She's been busy getting all that updates
Mhm.
done too, so.
Can we just have an avatar?
Only if we can pick it.
You're gonna find them. They're not gonna take no for like.
And it's not like people are spending a lot of time looking at
I
these,
know.
That's not true, my son followed me. I read it.
See?
It's like,
See?
awesome.
There you go.
It went up to 3 and went around.
All right, anything else on brand and marketing?
No.
All right, thanks, Sarah. So strategic plan, Kim McMahon's not here tonight, so she did send in advance the proposed tracker for 2024, which is basically the same. She sent out the explanation, but basically, as she I think talked about in the last meeting, I think that her plan, that she proposed that we agreed to, was to continue with the current strategic plan pretty much as it is for the next year,
Mhm.
with the goal of having starting a revision to have available for 2025 and then be on a 5-year schedule of review. It made sense. So for 2024, the one thing that she changed was the one thing that was just kind of the real outlier, which was having the very, very specific veterans related items in there. So like the kiosk, which we have the kiosk, that's all there is to it. And the Veterans Day display, which is sort of morphed, and the lecture presentation series, which is really just, we've tried to incorporate some of those topics into our other
Mhm.
stuff. So eliminating those, feeding them back into the other sections. So I think makes sense to me, and we'll continue along and see how we do in the next year and what we want to tweak for the following year. Anybody have any questions or comments on that?
I think that makes perfect sense.
Okay. Okay, recruitment. So Karen, do you want to just give your brief intro of yourself, your background, and then we'll send you out for a minute and we'll vote.
So I lived in Stephentown for 5 years. My husband's been here for 65. We live in the house that he grew up in, so I live on Presbyterian Hill Road. And I'm a member of the fire department, soon to be taking an EMT class. I'm the CFO of Darrow School in Lebanon. I've been there for 2 years, and before that I worked in accounting policy at Berkshire Bank. Snore, I know. Lots of building. And I don't know, what else do you need to know? And I have one son that lives in North Carolina, in Raleigh.
And you also just volunteered for the food pantry as well.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I had a bad back, so now it's better, so now I'm back to myself.
That's okay.
Now you're gonna have bad shoulders. Weight of all of this.
Yeah.
And I failed to do something ahead of the meeting, which I will quickly do now because I have to tell you the term. So you know what you're actually getting into.
Yeah.
So let me just find that real quickly.
Years with food time off.
Right.
Let's see, just
I'm looking for the board meeting with staff.
okay. God, why is this so hard?
I grew up in Kingman, so I'm actually fairly local.
Yes, very good.
Yeah.
Oh,
Cream is keep on, tell us about yourself.
sorry, yeah.
I don't know.
What are your hobbies? You don't have to answer that.
So I love to play golf, although I'm on a sabbatical right now. So I hurt my back and I had 2 back surgeries. So, did you?
I had 2 back
So I just
surgeries.
had my last one in March and it's much better. So, but I love to play golf. But I'm trying not to play golf for 2 years. I'm actually going to North Carolina next week to play golf, but I'm only gonna chip and putt and I'm not really gonna play. I have to go be the donor who golfs. And I'm the only golfer, so I'm going to golf. I golfed with her in June, but she's older, she's 86, and she only does the first 9 holes, and she's fine with me chipping and putting as long as she can talk about herself the whole time, and I'm fine with that, so great, yeah.
Sounds like a home run.
Yeah, so I play golf. My hobbies have been limited because of my back. I like to read. Exactly. Been my only hobby that I could participate in for the last 2 years, but and I used to ski a lot,
Wow.
so I don't do that anymore.
What did you say you did at the Darrow School? Something?
I'm the CFO.
CFO, that's what I thought you said, but I thought myself, so.
Yeah,
This CFO of the Darrow School. Do you like it there?
yeah, I love it there.
Oh,
How long have you been there? 2 years. Oh, well, yeah, so this is my 3rd school year. I started in August of 2021.
Women's Day. It's Women's Day, yeah.
I know, but where do I swim?
My hands on the side.
Really? I walk every day, or I try to walk every day,
That's good too.
between 3 and 5 miles. I
Wow.
still do I have to, I just have to, but I don't want it to happen again, because he said if it happens again, then I have to have a fusion, and I'm not prepared.
I have to.
You do?
I have a laminectomy, yeah.
I had that first.
Yeah.
Did you have a specific injury or? it was-
Yeah, I had scoliosis.
Oh,
But, and this was a lot like before this surgery was 25 years ago, and I'm doing. I mean, all things considered,
Yeah,
pretty amazing, so.
you just don't want metal and right now.
So
So,
I don't have metal, I have. They took bone from my hip. Because
Really?
well, at that time, they didn't use cadaver bone for
um,
laminectomies, they didn't do that. So that it's actually my own bone and, yeah, that's actually where I have the worst arthritis, where they took the bone from my
I'm
hip.
sure.
and the place out.
it's not fun
Yeah.
to take things.
No, no.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, I feel for you.
Our
So-
problems are
So that's been,
irritating.
so I haven't really been doing a whole lot of things, but
Yeah.
reading and playing golf are my primary hobbies that I like to do.
And walking.
And walking. More than necessity. But I do like it now too, you're right, like I do like it. Like the EMT book has an audio book and I was like, cool, I can listen to it while I'm walking,
Right.
so.
Yeah,
That's
so
really good.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
Did your husband have much to say about Stephentown Memorial Library as a kid growing up, since he grew up here and?
You know, no, he didn't, I don't think he even came here very much.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Does he now?
oddly, no, he doesn't. He's one of 11,
Oh, my.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
There's West Family somewhere around here.
You know, they're fairly close. One is in Rensselaer, one is in Connecticut, one is in Hancock. One is in Williamstown. One's in Austin, Texas. One's in East Greenbush. Most of them are here and one is in Rochester, so like, and I know that wasn't 11, but most of them. One of the Alzheimer's and she just went to a home in Troy, so a lot of them are very close. Yeah.
Sorry for that delay.
And
Okay.
the answer is?
So it's seat 8, so just so we have this for the official, so you're filling seat 8, which is open right now. And that term ends in 2027. So it was, and then you're available to have your own term
Yeah,
after that as well.
We stagger
So-
forward so that
yeah.
hopefully the same number
So there-
out every
Yeah,
year.
yeah. So
Yeah.
you're,
Yeah, okay.
you get the official vote in during the annual meeting in April, but
Okay.
we vote you in now.
Okay.
And so you'll be filling seat 8, so.
Maybe, I
Yeah.
don't know what it is.
Yeah.
It
Do
is-
you want to just step out for one moment and we'll take,
Number 8 out of 11, so I'm.
so there you go. All right. All right, so can I get a motion to, was it appoint? No, vote. Appoint, elect, thank you, elect Karen, Karen Volpe to fill the open seat 8 for a term ending in 2027.
I'll make that motion.
All right, second.
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor? What's the matter with Deborah?
We had like a time belt.
Oh. All right. Okay, Karen, you can come back in. Yay, thank you for joining the board.
You know, I did forget to say that the reason that I'm more involved with the library so much now is because my mom moved in with us 2 years ago. And she comes here as much as she can.
Oh, that's cool.
All of her reading material comes from here.
Awesome, yeah,
Yeah.
Okay, recruitment's done. Youth, just a brief update from Ari, you probably saw it. So the big thing is planning for the Halloween party. If you signed up to donate or help out, we appreciate that. And then at the last budget meeting, budget workshop meeting for the town, they were making some tweaks in other areas, but it seemed like the youth commission budget, which had that small increase, was not going to be an issue. So that was good. And we're still talking about what we can do about camp location. Okay. So moving on to new business. So 2024 budget discussion. So I met with Kim and a little bit with Richard last week and tried to talk about what we need to consider. So I'm just going to share some of these thoughts, which are kind of bigger thoughts, and then open it up for some discussion. So overall, we don't see that there are any obvious areas for cost savings. As we look at the budget, that's probably a shock, right? But we're pretty bare bones as it is. So where we have some discretion to make cuts, things, and I'm just saying this, don't react, are things like marketing and fundraising expenses. However, there's a continuation of that sentence, Deborah. But those are areas that we know we probably actually might need to invest in ahead of potential things like capital campaigns and 414 votes and things like that.
What's the 414 one?
That's the funding vote from the taxpayers.
Oh,
Yep. One area where we didn't spend money is in the landscaping money budget. So we didn't spend the budgeted money because we had volunteers do some of the work. We also have some earmarked donations for landscaping. However, despite the valiant effort of volunteers, it's really not, we're not finding that to be a solution, and we probably need to find a reliable paid service to do some of the landscaping work to keep up with it. We and you will see how the letter goes, but we think it's probably unlikely that we can expect a big increase in what we target for our annual appeal fundraising. We already set a stretch goal for this year, so that we've already increased our expectations in that area. It's certainly not something that we would be like from now feeling like, yeah, we can up that again. And we were able to meet the other fundraising goal because of the summer match challenge. So, and we don't know if that'll have any effect on the annual appeal or not. But so, we've made stretch goals this year. We don't know if we'll meet them. Certainly not in a position to say, like, let's make more stretch goals for next year.
How many gifts were that summer, comprised that summer?
I can find that out for you.
You're not telling me now.
Yeah, let me look it up after.
Question.
Yeah,
What the average gifting?
yeah, let me look that up.
Yeah,
for you.
well, yeah, and we're 12 people, or whatever.
Excuse me a
And
second.
comparing that to
Again?
how many gifts we get.
Right.
Yeah.
One second. Oh my gosh. All right. Don't trip anybody. Okay. Well, that's all right. It just makes it. One area where there is slightly good news is that with better interest rates, we are earning interest for the first time in a while. And we should maybe think about, is there any way to should we consolidate our accounts in any way, and where we have more interest earning potential? So that's out there for discussion. When we looked at things like building maintenance and landscaping projects for 2024, there's no doubt that we got to do some tree trimming. We've lost like 2 parking spots practically with the low hanging tree limbs. Got to do something about that this year. We know we need to finish the bed overhaul on the front beds and plan on ongoing maintenance there. There's definitely some painting that is becoming more needed. The bathroom could use it. Kim has several other areas outside of the children's room refresh. Kim also thinks that looking into the rolling shelves, there's the possibility that some of it could get folded into the major project work, since some of those shelves are for the children's collection, even if they're outside of the actual children's room. So we might be able to, finagle that in a way that's part of the furniture that's there. But if not, we may need to start just, looking at where we can budget for that in here. We have to have the consideration of the solar panels in case we have another outage. Things are good so far. Probably it would have happened already, but and then the backyard water remediation. So, the town may help us with some of that. If we move forward with it, it's because the town's going to help us with it. I don't think we would do it otherwise, but we have to have that in mind. So that's kind of a long way of saying it's not like we see that there's opportunity for money savings in maintenance areas. In terms of payroll, should this not be public? Talking about staff salary, should that be executive session?
Well, Joe, what the issues are in connection with.
What about proposed
I don't think those are accepted. We're not making personnel decisions.
Okay, just double checking
We're just-
before we,
No, it's fine.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a good question,
okay,
but I don't think this is necessarily an executive session. The
Okay.
personnel involves decisions about individuals
okay. that
as
is-
opposed to general budget discussions as to, we have certain number of staff members, they earn money,
Right,
and we need to. This
okay, yeah,
is sort of like not a surprise.
okay.
Then maybe if there are any specifics, I shouldn't put them in the.
Yeah, there's nothing about people, I think it's just
Okay.
general, excuse me. So, Kim, was proposing, for staff salaries for the library assistants. Right now, the hourly rate is 15, which is now this year, the new minimum wage. So proposing a 3.3% raise, that would bring it to 15.50, and that would bring it to, just above what the camp, counselors would be making next year per the budget submitted to the town. So we have been trying to keep the library assistants making at least a little more than the counselors, and showing some appreciation with at least some raise each year. Also talked to Kim about her hours and her work, and what else she sees in terms of, one was is staffing adequate for hours were open and the programs we're having. The area where she sees something that she would like us to be considering and recognizing, if it not for this year, for future planning, a program coordinator position. We have talked about this broadly before, but someone who can actually take on the program aspect of the job. So, all of the initial legwork of making the decisions about it, doing the calendars for it, doing the outreach to people who do the programs, doing the marketing, doing, all of that, and then being here for the programs. So Kim spends quite a bit of time here doing programs, which sometimes, she's available to do other work. Other times she's here to run the program and is very involved in that.
So the coordinator also run each program?
Yeah, that would be the goal, or at least most of them,
Yeah.
kinda. She thinks that is something that could be a 5 to 10 hours a week type job, at a rate of around $18 to $20 an hour, depending. So that's something that's in the mix for discussion.
So our total staff expenses are around.
The budget is 71,000.
Okay, so you're talking about probably.
About half and half.
Almost 20%. I mean, if you add that staff position,
Mhm.
you're probably talking somewhere between 15 and 20% increase.
Total.
Our total staffing.
I have to do the math.
I mean,
Yeah,
it just
yeah.
affects, I just-
Yeah.
Which is.
Yeah.
For the budget we're operating on, it's significant.
Right, yeah, it would be a really, really difficult
Even
pill
though
to
it's
swallow
not
this
bad,
year.
Other than fundraising or.
Right, exactly.
income is pretty much. capped.
Exactly, it is,
Yeah.
it is, I would say it is totally capped pretty much.
I mean, there are little things.
Yeah. And that's why I think that, I think Kim understands this is not necessarily something that we could necessarily do this year, but as we are thinking about it as the next part of the discussion, I think it would be a big win for the library overall and for Kim, because it would free Kim up for some other things. I mean, she's actually willing now, which has been a great thing. Kim, as many of us are, likes to do everything, and she's good at doing everything, and it's hard to then hand those things off. And she has really made big strides in doing that this past 2 years. And it's made I think it's great overall, because also the staff has been able to pick up doing other things.
And she
But-
doesn't see anybody who is existing staff who could step into this.
She didn't think so. No, she didn't think so. It's possible it could be a way to ease into this, to just say, is there like Cause like Vicky sort of runs Lego Club, but that's during open hours and stuff like that. But,
Mhm.
you know, it's possible that we could see, is there a little bit of way to divide this up where maybe people are just taking on a couple more hours a week? But I think it's the main thing is also the work that goes on to try to figure these programs out, find the way, you know, there's a lot of that, which is
Central person to do it. to
Yeah.
put it all-
Yeah.
put it all together.
exactly to make it make sense. Yeah, yeah.
I also think this position needs to be talked about with an understanding of what are the goals in terms of growth, what are the cost benefits? That this is something that I don't have,
Mhm.
you know, I need to have a grasp around this, right? What does success for this job, this proposed
Mhm.
job look like?
Uh-huh,
Right.
right, yeah,
And that would be, I think, a really important conversation to have
Mm-hmm.
around this.
Okay.
You know, is it,
If we can afford it at all.
if we can afford it at all?
right, yeah.
But I think also talking about what the cost benefits are would be. Really, you know, we would, you know, with this position, we imagine that we can increase
Mhm.
programs, you know, by
Right.
this much.
And what does it
increase-
free him up to do that will
Mhm.
benefit the library additionally? And that could even include fundraising type things. That could pay it back. Potentially.
Okay.
And this is just a wild idea, but is it any sort of internship opportunity for? I don't know, college student or, I don't know,
I don't know
Somebody
either,
is-
yeah,
getting their library degree.
yeah, I don't know. And I think particularly in the library world, I'm not positive on this, but I'm pretty sure they're in favor of paid internships and things like that.
Right. Right.
So,
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
yeah.
yeah, but, wait a
I
minute,
didn't
so.
mean for free.
Oh, okay, all right, yeah, I was thinking, I thought you were in terms of cost.
You said 18 to 20 per hour.
Yeah. Okay, let me write these down for my questions for Kim, okay,
It's also, I mean, even though it's a big increase in our budget, it's a terrible salary. I mean, that is so.
Right,
It
it's
has
not-
to be doing.
Right.
right, yeah,
A
and
lot
it's
of
not
other
many
things,
hours,
yeah.
yeah, it's not, you'd have to find the right person that this is gonna be
Yeah.
appealing for and work for, and maybe it is because maybe it's a mom who's home or something,
Right.
you know, but, and there's flexibility and things like that,
Yeah.
but,
Yeah.
okay. Let me write that down. Okay. So. Looking ahead at the future, a few other things to think about. So Kim let me know that the remaining Zook donation, so this is a donation that was made specifically for purchasing books, New York Times bestseller books. So after 2025, so we have money left for 2024 and for 2025. So starting in 2026, we'll need to go back to budgeting for that additional amount in the collection. So currently our collection budget, there's $2,000 that we don't have to account for. We use that
Like something we can fundraise for that.
possibly,
I
yeah.
mean, that,
Mhm.
you would think that you would be able to get people to give money at $5.
Mm.
to keep
Right.
the collection.
Yeah.
It's cheaper than a new one.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know though. It also strikes me as like, should the library be able to buy books? Like, no, isn't that what you should do?
Right.
And I know it's not. I know that's a problem, but it just in terms of like, there's a certain amount of, yeah.
Yeah. Library to buy books.
So here's some things to think about. This is what I started to think about in terms of our timeline for things. So we just had our summer match, raised $2,000. We have in November, the annual appeal will go out with our goal of $15,000. We have to think about the capital campaign. So, I'm just, again, throwing this out there, this is for discussion afterwards. March 2024, start that. And maybe we can find a way to make it more appealing by trying to have a match of the donation that was made, the 20,000 donation. Help us reach a match of that.
How much is the capital campaign for? What is the goal of the capital campaign?
Yeah, we have to have 40, around 40 for our match, right?
Is that for a grant that we've already received?
Not officially received, but have been told,
Yeah.
yes.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's 40 something.
I don't know. why.
Well, we have about $167,000 budget or something like that, which.
Yeah.
could Cover 21%.
Yes, 20,
It was a little
7,
higher
28,
because
yeah,
of-
because it was, yeah.
is there.
And I'm sorry, I don't have my things, I didn't have my stuff in front of me.
I thought it was 35, probably between 35 and 42, something like that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like I have 40 in the brain of like, yeah,
40 is the number.
so it would lend itself to a, you know, if we added $20,000 donation, that should, yeah,
And reserve.
we do. And my hope would be, and this is just me, I would love for us to be able to instead raise the funds and keep that money that we can be used for a less sexy project, but necessary project that needs to be done in the building, which would be a lot, you know, something that would be harder to raise funds for. So.
We've talked about this, right? That capital campaigns, the cannibalization of annual fund money, and it's a reality.
Right, and so that's what I'm thinking about timing wise, though. If you have this hit slightly earlier in March, and then we have our next annual appeal in November. I mean, granted, people don't forget that they give the money, but there's at least some distance to it to say, okay, this was separate and now this.
And March is, yeah. And it's just bad timing because it breaks.
Or-
No, because it's people, you know, if you're looking at, if you keep going back to the same people, they'll have just given 3 months before that.
Mhm,
Because you're hoping that they're gonna give to the annual appeal.
right,
So in December, and then you're reapproaching them in March, that makes things quite difficult.
do you think though, when as I was thinking about this, I was thinking, well, you say you gave your annual appeal, and maybe you do that all the time anyway, you give something, if you're the person that we're hoping to see that is a donor, regular donor, not talking about new people or somebody like that. So you give every year, so you're happy enough to do that. Now we have something exciting to tell you. We're expanding the library, we have this great thing, we had a great donation made, we're trying to do this match. Maybe you're like, oh, that sounds pretty good. This is the conversation I have in my head, Deborah. That sounds exciting. That's good. You know, all right, I'm gonna write a check. And you do that, and then we have some things to report progress on during the year. And then come November, the end of the year, you give to us anyway. And now you've seen we're doing this and you give again. And maybe it's not as much or whatever, but I don't know, I feel like there's some distance there. There's some opportunity to, you know.
Well, you're reframing in a way that makes it like, oh, yeah, it's something new, it's not, the same. And it's something exciting.
Right.
And add to this,
It's an election year. Also, coming
That-
up,
and
that affects things.
this way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay,
And also times are tough,
right,
right?
yep.
So. I don't know, I would love to spend some time with you and sort of do a real deeper dive into your current donor list, looking at giving histories and
Yeah.
sort of average gifts, amount, all of that stuff that
Yeah. Definitely.
can bring a certain lens to.
Definitely. So here's the last.
Let me just give you the timeline. We're not gonna find it real encouraging.
I know that already. And this is also, well, let me ask you another question too. You rattled off all of these things that need to be done. Tree trimming, landscaping. Have you looked at grants?
Well, yeah, I mean, you can't get grants for maintenance.
No, not for maintenance, but for capital improvements. you know.
I mean,
in
but so-
terms of like, if you need. If there's certain things like painting or.
So we should be getting this grant,
Mhm.
which,
Right.
all but official, I guess, at this point, for the expansion of the children's room area.
Mhm.
So we can try for those grants each cycle. I guess we can. I actually don't know that, right? Okay. But
But I'll give you the heads up.
yeah,
This year, the grant money was oversubscribed, but by just a little. But there's one library which is probably going to be a very large grant application next year,
okay.
because they've got to do like an incredible amount of work. I forget whether they just purchased the building and need to outfit it or move it or
Huh, okay.
there's a story there, but
Okay.
they'll probably put in otherwise for about $400,000, something like that.
Mhm.
And the fund's not that rich, so I'm just saying this, probably in the short term. There's not as much money available in the near term future. As there happened to be this year,
Right.
where sort of the demand pretty much matched the availability. As opposed to the year before when. it was
Yeah.
under-
But are there other grant programs?
Oh, yeah, there are plenty of grant programs.
I'm thinking
This
of
is just
things
the-
like corporate support,
Right.
like Lowe's, which, you know, does grants to invest in places that are community hubs
Mhm.
for rural communities, you know. Things like that, which you might wanna take a
Right.
look at.
Right, yeah, I mean, if, and I know Kim has mentioned some of her sources before, but, you know, we look for grants, we subscribe to the library specific ones. We found the other one that was the T-Mobile one that we still have to investigate further. But I don't know of other. What's the right word, like, sure thing kind of, or likely kind of grants, you know, like.
Well,
Yeah, yeah, or like, you know, yeah, we could probably, you know, like, yeah, you apply and you get it, you know, yeah,
It's competitive,
Uh-huh.
and,
yeah,
you know.
yeah.
But. And I think there's a lot we can do to find out too, who is here, who can leverage relationships with companies that they work for and. You know, things like that,
Mhm.
Does the
where,
library still have the grant database?
We do not.
yeah, I asked that question when I.
So I just paid for it at school.
Oh, really?
Which,
Okay.
you know which one? With the Foundation Center?
Mhm.
Wow, that's the good one. That's the Cadillac.
Cool. So I can do some research and see what I can do.
Certainly appreciate that,
Yeah.
thank you, okay, great.
Have you used it before?
Mhm.
Okay.
I have some people that I'm not using it, I just pay for it, but people at work are using it, but
Okay,
um,
because we can talk about like search parameters.
yeah.
Things like that,
Yeah.
which. Some. Different universe, I think, than in terms of Darrow School, but let me think about it and we can be in touch.
Yeah.
Okay. That's cool.
Yeah.
So I didn't throw in the real kickers on our planning about this schedule. So I think we need to be prepared to. Do the 414 petition in May of 2025. I think we should be doing it earlier, but I think if we think about our possibility of success, and I'll tell you my reasoning, but so you'd have to do the petition then, and then the vote would be in November of 2025. And we need to look at what that number needs to be. What I'm throwing out there is going from 95 to 115. Which is not necessarily enough. But so the two thoughts on this are, if we are able to have the children's room work, you know, happening in that spring and summer of 2024, we have something to show for it. We have a good story, and we did all of this great work with grants and donations that we were able to do for this. We're, you know, have a good story to tell. We have good programs to tell, all that kind of stuff. then we go in for the 414 at that point. At that point, we have not have asked for an increase for 8 years. And I looked at the numbers different ways. But if we looked at what a 2% annual increase would have been over 8 years and made it a round number, it looks like it could be in line with what we would be projecting for our operational expenses. I don't think it gives us much cushion or like opportunity to expand, you know, a staff role or things like that. But then, I mean, I think that's going to be difficult for people to stomach as it is. But then I think, and we'll learn more about this in that UHLS seminar, but when they had talked to us in the finance training that they did, they recommended doing these much more frequently so that you're able to ask for smaller increases and
You mean the 414?
the 414s. So that's the other thing. So I don't know what people think about the timing of that. In conjunction with the Scott.
It's gonna be.
Do you think it's any harder or easier, any particular timing of
I don't
doing?
know how the construction project is gonna figure in. I think we were able to get the last 414 passed with about 80 votes. So very close to beginning.
Right, yeah.
Do we think the demographics of the town have changed enough that maybe that could have shifted or in that amount of time? It seems like there are a lot more new people.
Yeah.
I think, you know what, it'll be interesting to see how the annual appeal goes. We should use the same old letters because then we'll have a current base. I'm teasing. Because it may be the variable, maybe a really good letter. More. Usually. I'm not sure how old no one ever knows.
Right, yeah.
But it's sort of not clear to me. This is we've done better. Over the last couple of years. I don't know what the upside is. There's been some changes. It's not at all, but there's still. The number of people living in the community is pretty much the same. I don't think that the composition's changed that much. I would say about at least 40% of the voter population is resistant to tax increases.
Yeah.
Or I don't know.
Well, I'm it's
Yeah.
and I think probably the greater, do I think you can probably get it done? Yeah, I think so. I think through decent planning and identifying. And this is just it's like a close election. You need to pull the voter rolls, you need to identify your supporters, you need to get them out, you need to get them excited. All the things that we did, I think pretty successfully.
I feel so bad for you, Scott. Oh my God, that's lingering and lingering, huh?
We need to do those things, we need to look better.
I think we do have new people engaged in the library, which is a good thing, I think, you know,
It actually feels
yeah,
different to me over the course of the time that I've been on the board.
yeah.
Felt a little bit more revved up and positive and not that it wasn't.
Yeah.
Lovely to begin with,
I think that's right,
Yeah.
but the question is this marginal change or is it
Right.
more of a significant change?
Yeah.
And that I don't have. a
Yeah,
good
we don't know.
feeling. So we'll see. I think there's an opportunity for fundraising here that wasn't there in the past. That's sort of my feeling.
Well, the median household income in this community has risen significantly since, I think, the last census. So,
Yeah, that's probably true.
yes, I know it's good.
Okay.
For that.
There you go.
But a lot of the people that are moving are retired, so their income is fixed.
The other thing
not
weird.
the people I've met,
The
I mean,
question I've got, well, go ahead.
No, I mean, I don't think that that's necessarily true. I think that.
Well, with
it's-
COVID, I think a lot of people moved up
Right.
because they found they could work remotely and they could do it and they didn't want to be in cities anymore, but yeah.
No, I mean, I think that there are people who are coming to this area who have significant resources, and that's what has, and you know, they're.
Or spending more time here than they did before.
Exactly,
And that
exactly.
seems to be the issue in terms of the library, from what I've seen,
Mhm,
is that to the extent that there have been people coming in on weekenders.
mhm. Yeah,
Their nexus of interaction and giving is really focused on their own communities,
mhm,
not their vacation homes.
mhm.
And Ken might have a sense of the weekend families with younger kids are using the library or not, but I don't get the sense that that's the case.
Are there weekend families with younger kids?
There are some, and I know there are some that do use the library, the ones that I'm aware of. I don't know how that looks with popular, you know, I don't know how that is percentage wise, but some have been engaged.
But to the extent that there's like.
Right. Right.
Well,
Poor Scott. Yeah, we do have water. Yeah, do you want water?
sure.
Okay. I don't have any cough drops. Oh, you know what, though? I think
It's unclear to me whether. That's okay. Yeah. It's sort of like unknown, we'll find out soon enough, but I just sort of get the sense that. The numbers may be changing, but whether the core group of donors. Whether sort of the attitude towards giving. To this organization as well as any of the other ones. It's changed all that much. I mean, you'll take a look at the numbers, I don't think. There are a couple of larger gifts, not that many.
Yep.
Our giving has less than.
Yeah.
Sorry, what did you say? Our giving has less than the school. It's lower than it has been.
I just
Couple years.
The one thing I want to just confirm with people, does anybody see that there would be any ability and or benefit to try the 414 in 2024? When presumably we're in the midst of trying to raise money for the.
I think it would be a bad idea, mainly because of the politics being
Not
crazy.
yet, oh,
that-
the election year,
Yeah,
yeah,
like
presidential
any
election year. Yeah.
divisiveness that's out there is gonna be heightened
Heightened,
during
yeah.
that year and.
Yeah.
And that seems to be where things go with this,
Yeah.
as I recall, and
Yeah.
then it takes a little bit of political.
That's right.
Mhm.
In a sense that. It's probably better for other.
So I think we do need to target 2025. I don't think we can really wait longer than that because everything, you know, expenses are going up, everything's going up. We don't have a lot of other options. So I think we need to try to match, you know, have that money be what our core operating expenses are. Yeah.
It seems to me that the library is calling out for sort of in the way that the brand and marketing committee meets. I'm just gonna say this out loud. Develop a fundraising committee. And that meets on a regular basis.
Yep.
And really focuses on all aspects, individual donors, grants, corporate support. Tied very closely to, you know, obviously to branding and marketing, but I think the time has probably come.
I think we're notice that you have a low number, whether 14, it's probably 20,000 dollars higher than that.
You think,
Well,
okay,
in the sense that if you recall, we did the last time, we were operating with like a $75,000 budget. If you're 94, would give us cushions to move forward for that 5 years.
okay, yeah,
And we've been only that, but so it's not so much as pitching up, but
right, projecting
Taking
ahead,
and then
yeah,
thinking.
Well,
And let's-
you think goal should be higher than 115?
yeah.
Um,
I think we should, I don't know if that session with Upper Hudson is gonna have opportunity for, questions,
I'm sure
library
it will,
specific and stuff, but maybe we can,
But I
raise
I
that-
did say that
yeah,
we need to go higher,
right, yeah,
not do what we can do, but
yeah,
do what is needed.
yeah, it's a good point.
So you're saying 20,000 above the one,
I
the
mean,
90?
we'll do the numbers, but I think
Mhm.
you need to be planning, this needs to be the next jump
Right, and it's gotta be
It's gotta be
significant enough that it's gonna
through-
carry you, yeah.
through another 5 to 8 year cycle.
Mhm.
Unless we need to actually reduce that cycle time, because I mean, I think that was one of their
Yeah, I think going
recommendations.
forward, we should.
Yeah, yeah.
And just get people more.
Um,
used to it.
It's a tunnel, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so. Does people have any other thoughts or considerations they want to put in terms of just overall starting to plug numbers into our 2024 budget? Anything else is there anything people think, no, this is an area where we can trim, or no, I think it's important that we have this year. Is there anything people want to raise before we pull together a draft budget, which is going to basically, we're gonna have to try to balance the budget, so we're gonna have to just.
We need operation.
Yeah,
It's not
it
just
is.
like.
It is, it really is. Okay. So I think with the schedule, then next month we come back with the draft budget to review. Where's my schedule? Yeah, because next month's November, right? So that one's the draft to review in detail, and then we vote on the final in December. And we will, like I said, I need to send out the feedback tool for the director review. And then we need to have a discussion around that as well, in terms of her salary. And Deborah, do you want to schedule a session to look at donor stuff? Do we want to just try to kick off a fundraising committee? There was one, I'm not sure who was left on it. I think it was just me and Sarah left on it, which I sort of folded into the brand and marketing meeting. It's just the general meeting, the other meeting. So we can convene a new committee and start talking about when we want to meet. Were you suggesting that? I assume you were going to be on the committee.
Sure,
Okay,
absolutely, I'm just.
we're not, I mean, we're not, everybody's overwhelmed right now. Nobody's going to be able to do.
You know. You wanna plan going into the new year,
Mhm,
that would be ideal.
mhm.
So, sure, if we could schedule one meeting between now and the end of the year. Where at least we can do some brainstorming and come away with some sort of. Plan and calendar and really working out all the things that are.
Yeah, right, coming through, yeah, yeah,
That would be good.
okay. Is there anybody else who wants to participate? Scott?
I was going to, but
Um,
that's the whole group, right?
This group, that's the
We-
Maybe it feel like it would be.
Okay,
Too many. it's not-
Yeah.
well, also we could, yeah,
Right,
yeah,
Yes,
keep us alive.
yeah.
all right, so, okay, we'll plan on that group, this group here.
Yeah.
Because I agree, it is the most important, and also it'll help with tasks. We can also just as we have this larger discussion and as we hone in on things, we can maybe then
this is, and this backs up into the problem we've had for years. Difficulty in attracting trustees, difficulty in finding, wider rippling group out of supporters who don't want to put the time in, but are willing to help in other ways.
Right.
And volunteer group are a bunch of lovely people, but they seem most interested in doing specific tasks in which they're interested in.
Right.
And they don't provide a fundraising or like a friends group would do.
Right. Yeah.
We've yet been able to identify folks with sufficient both disposable income or inclined to contribute to the library. And you mentioned there are folks out there that we haven't. Yeah, I know.
Did you say all of us?
Yeah. For now, let's have this be it. Let's, if we're gonna do one between now and the end of the year, let's think about the right timing for that. Let's have it be this larger group. We can have this larger discussion, and then we can either continue with the larger group, or we can divide it out in little ways that makes a little more sense. But I think
obviously right?
we can, yeah, he wasn't on the original committee.
We've got a lot of different skill sets here with people with different perspectives, and who knows, it's so crazy, it's just not work.
Yeah.
Let's,
That's true. I think this is a great group right here in this room.
what are you, so timing wise?
Not on Wednesdays.
I'm trying to think what makes sense in terms of.
Is this meeting the third Thursday of every?
Correct, yes. If, is there anything that is critical to talk about before any of this year's tasks that we have to do? Like, in other words, finalizing the annual appeal, finalizing the budget, all that kind of stuff. Is there any reason we need to have this group before any of those deadlines? I'm just trying to think about timing.
I think we just need to meet before. Before we do the budget for 2024,
Okay,
I think we have to have some idea of what is possible.
okay,
I mean, because if you think about it, we have like, somewhere between 15 and 20% of our annual operating budget anticipating the income from gifts, or money from gifts.
right.
So next year. Yeah, it's very.
So if,
This is why I hate calendar year, fiscal years,
Yeah,
right?
it's hard.
Because you wait that whole year on that last quarter upon which you rely so much, you know.
Do we do Giving Tuesday too?
we do a little, we don't do, we do like social media kind of thing, not a big push.
Yeah.
We haven't gotten a lot in.
People are so inundated by emails and
Yeah.
Facebook with it's starting to really,
Get diluted.
yes, exactly the word I was gonna use.
So do you want to do it before we put forward a draft budget, or do you want to do it after the draft budget?
I don't know how you could make a draft budget without a conversation about what the fundraising budget should be for 2024.
Okay.
That's, or you're back into it.
Reasonable.
This is what we have to do.
Oh, that's.
So we have a balanced
Very-
budget. I know, but if we have a balanced budget, then you have to figure out where you have to.
Right, right.
It's
Give me a budget.
Love this.
Silver.
This is so familiar. I love it.
So what are we deciding? Usually the less liked person, or at least like. I'm used to it.
So if we do it after the draft budget, it would be that sort of approach, like, here's where we see things are, and then,
Well, because it's.
How do
so
we-
unknown That we have to set a goal somehow.
right.
So
And at least it gives us something more.
we figure out what we need
Uh-huh.
to exist.
And to work
and then
around. Yeah.
Back into
I like
it.
that idea.
Although,
Yeah.
I don't, go ahead,
No, go ahead.
we're really dealing with a number somewhere between $12,000 and $17,000 in terms of. If things continue the way they are, that's sort of what we do.
In terms of fundraising, you mean?
Yeah, fundraising. We were. I mean, annually over the past, let's say, 5 years that I've been around here. 10 was always easy. We began to raise 15 maybe within the last 2 to 3 for the annual fund.
Is that true? I don't have any of my numbers in front of me.
And then there were other pieces, but they didn't
Yeah.
contribute much more income than $2,000 or $3,000 a year.
Yeah,
Those are the
because I,
numbers that I have in mind.
well, because I thought this year we went with 15 for, which was an increase in the annual appeal.
Yeah,
I thought we were more like a
Usually, I
12.
think with 15, I don't recall what we did
Yeah,
last year. but I
Yeah.
think It was a little less than that. but it was
Yeah.
pretty much-
I have it here. Yeah,
Yeah.
fundraising. report.
Yeah.
But and then we did.
There's a real range in the things, and that's what worries me.
The good news is that, well, right, it's. The question is whether we can leverage the construction to induce people to feel a little bit more. I mean, that's the way I've been looking at it, it's because we basically have not time to do it. But it's a shiny whistle and bell that you can get people excited about, because I think it provides value to the library. It's kind of new and I think it'll appeal
They make the
to
donate to charity.
the largest. Sort of like the core, where certainly I have the core is younger families with kids and, you know. I mean, those are the folks who are important in the library, not necessarily the only institution.
Right. Well,
They,
Did that.
you know, they're.
and also not, the majority of who makes up this town.
In the 2022 numbers, where did the gala?
Events.
Right, 50%, 50 and older, yeah. I mean.
Yeah, but they got haters of children, lovers of their grandchildren.
No, that. The grandchildren. Yeah.
And it's, let's go on the company.
Oh my God.
So the numbers were a little better. They're more like what Scott remembered. So last year, annual appeal, the goal was 10,000. We brought in 15,000 gross. 2021, it was 18,000. Events last year, we had the 75th fundraiser. That was, the goal was 4,000. We brought in 3,500 net.
And that's really the 18,000 right there, because some of the people that went to the gala didn't probably get.
Probably, yeah, yeah.
So that gets us to the.
There was a gala.
Well, it
Yeah,
wasn't a
we're-
gala, it wasn't a gala. It was
It's
an
called a
event.
shoot.
Yeah. They call it a gala.
It's called a gala.
I don't think it was
I
called a
thought it was
gala.
I didn't go, but I thought it was a
Some
gala.
people call it a gala.
Was it a mini gala?
It
I was gonna go to Shindig over gala any day.
So this year, our goal for total for fundraising was 19,500. So,
That's all it's sort of working.
yeah. So,
Which isn't to say that we can't do better, but.
yeah,
I think it's hard. I just think
It-
all maple
it-
syrup.
It is hard right now. It really is.
It's a weird environment.
It is a very weird environment and,
Well, costs are going up, there's, yeah, it's just.
It's very, people are adrenaline.
Political.
right, exactly. It's,
And uncertain and
Yeah, right.
nervous.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, basically, I mean, if you think about it, if you've got money in the stock market, it's like really
Right.
variable.
Yeah.
And sort of like, you're not trending in weird ways
Yeah.
and one day.
And there's so many crazy events taking place that you're like, oh, this could all go to. hell.
Right,
And like the country,
Right.
and there are lots of.
Right.
Yeah. This is
Yeah.
doing, seemingly, the economy's really good, and yet people think that it's really challenging.
Yeah,
Right.
well, and also there's been a, too, in terms of, you look at a place like a library or, tens of thousands of not-for-profits. I would imagine, right, in the best of all possible worlds, that library is supported by lots of small gifts from lots of people in the community. But that has changed for organizations, all sorts of organizations, right? Where there's more that those gifts are dwindling and that there's more reliance on what we call, major gifts. Which, can, for some organization, a major gift might start at $100 or $200. So there is this shift.
And maybe it tracks with income inequality, like. There's people who have tons of money and then there's people who have. who just-
Right,
but,
you're,
just getting bys aren't so inclined.
But it's also
Yeah.
people who give like steadily to an organization, let's say they give, $50 a year. They budget for that, they think about it, right? And we're seeing those gifts that. Used to be like a pyramid and those small gifts held things up for not-for-profit organizations. And now that pyramid is being inverted. And that's not surprising, given what a strange, unpredictable world we live in right now. So every organization I know in, mostly youth services, and, it's kids, so you would think, well, kids.
Right.
But it's just harder and harder, and people are obviously, there's certain. Things that rise up, right, the environment right now, certainly, but, I don't know, it is very, very unpredictable and scary. And I'm glad I'm sort of retired. So, there you go, yeah.
So I'm gonna make a proposal. Let's do this after our November meeting. It sounds like everybody is kind of booked up. We know we've got a bunch of things leading up to November and Thanksgiving where we're gonna have extra effort. Let's either meet on the 30th, Thursday the 30th. Or December 7th, if we're trying to do a Thursday. Okay. Okay,
I like the 30th better.
okay. Scott,
Yeah, I think either is okay.
Karen,
Well, I think the 30th is better.
okay. So fundraising powwow. And oh, sorry, that's right. I didn't mean it, anything bad. I just slipped back. And how about if we try to do a little legwork, including Deborah, why don't you send me, or if anybody else does as well, but I know you already have specific questions and thoughts about donor profile stuff. And I can try to do that homework in advance. So let's try to make it as effective as possible. People send, requests for that kind of stuff in advance.
I'll do some grant homework.
Thank you, Karen.
I have some ideas, of things you might wanna look at, so we can exchange. So, November 30th at 7.
Yeah. Okay. We're at time, so the last policy review and approvals, I don't think there's anything for this month. Kim is working on getting the next group ready, so we continue to look at policies and approve them as needed. I think she has the other ones that we approved up on the website. Do we want to make a decision about the holiday, or do we want to just postpone that till next month, and do just People's Day? Do we want to add that to our holiday list?
I think it makes sense to add it.
Other libraries.
Yeah.
We're the only one that's open.
And we added Juneteenth with it,
Yeah.
this is added as well, so,
Even handed.
okay. So we'll make a motion, no motion? Motion, no motion,
Just operating.
just operating,
Oh, we can do important
do a motion,
on that one.
okay.
Have some fun.
So so can we get a motion to add Indigenous Peoples' Day to our holiday calendar?
Motion.
Thank you, Patty. A second, Karen, okay, thanks, all in favor? Okay, lovely. All right, we conducted some business tonight. There was no correspondence. Did anybody have any other new business? I don't think I asked for anybody, if they had any other old business, but
Where should I be placing this indigenous
new business, I'd say.
in new business?
Yeah. All right, thank you. It was a good, productive meeting, a lot of good discussion, and it felt like it was one of those times where we have that nice thing of everybody's ideas and experiences are helping make things better, so much appreciated. Okay. Turn the video, oh, can I have a motion to adjourn? You just want to stay here all night. So that was Deborah made it, second.
I'll second.
Sarah, all right, all in favor,
Yeah.
and it's done. Let's turn this off.